GrantZeebs paid me to say robot Zeebs can be seen in the bottom right with TTS bot stuff. Hello there.
Nani?
Hello.
What if I just, like, went straight to the game? What if I didn't, like, have the conversation and what have you? Like, I just instantly move over to the game, like, right at the get-go, like, bam, like that. You don't see any of the, you don't get any of the magic of, like, catching up with me on Monday. It's just sort of a case of, nah, never mind. Moving on. We're going to video game. You don't get to converse with me. It's just a case of, like, right into it. We got so much shit to do with Yakuza Kiwami. Kiryu, I've been going through the Colosseum trying to, you know, get the Colosseum points so then that way he can get, more of the Dragon Thingy-Madigi unlocked. But let's be real, we probably don't need more of the Dragon Thingy-Madigi unlocked. We've already gone through the more upsetty parts of the bosses, and we're currently at Chapter 11 right now. Like, we must be close. We must be close to the end. If we have only just started struggling now at Chapter 11, we should be relatively okay. Yeah, because, no, it's not Uawi. Hi, Code. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? How is Melbourne now that there's a dog? Hello, dog. Hello. Can I pet you? No, I can't pet you. Damn it. How goes the Melbourne? It goes good? Nice. Is it still, like, flooding and, like, electrical interference and all that kind of shit? Is it still doing that? Aldinga doesn't live in... Who's Al... What? Are you trying to, like, get me to do a D's nuts with your fucking... that doesn't exist. Aldinga. You're trying to get me with that. I know it. Like, that's a fucking... Also, I don't live in Melbourne. Okay, you live, like, Victoria, right? Victoria, right? Is that the, Is that the place? Yes, okay. Okay, fair enough. Alright, fine. Victoria. How is Victoria? No one gives a shit about the rest of Victoria. Everyone just thinks it's Melbourne. Oh, shit. Where the fuck is Kiryu? Oh, there's a little thingy-majiggy on the ground. Hang on a second. So long as I don't get into any fights, I'm okay to pick up this thing. I need to go into a restaurant, eat a lot of food, and then I should be good. She's good. Nice. Good to know that Victoria is doing great. Glad to hear Victoria's secret is still secret. You'd love to visit Melbourne, but only for one building. Melbourne doesn't have any buildings that are like, ooh, ah. Like, two things, like, that are, you know, a huge thing in Australia, building-wise, and one of them isn't even, like, isn't even a building. It's Uluru, which is in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. You can't climb it because it's insulting to do so. Oh, and there's restrictions and what have you. And then there's the Sydney Opera House, but that's not in Victoria. That's in Sydney, because it's the Sydney Opera House. The Eruika Sky Deck. No one goes to Australia for their casinos. Casinos is people that go to a different state in Australia for casinos is an Australian thing. Americans don't care about casinos. If we cared enough about casinos, we would then go for fucking, like, Las Vegas. We're not gonna go all the way to Victoria for the whatsamahoozy, the, I'm dyslexic, okay? Look, you could have told me that was a real thing in Australia, okay? Oh, Eureka! Look, I'm gonna be real with you, Code. You and Jason could have told me that was a totally real thing, and I would have taken that at face value. You had an opportunity of, like, just twisting my perception on Australian words, because you could have gotten away with, like, if you threw me, like, Cuntsville or something like that, I wouldn't believe you 100%. But when you give me, like, fucking whoop whoop up and, like, you know, alterations of whoop whoop, I'm gonna take that at face value. You could have easily have gotten me with the Eureka state or something or rather, and you'd be like, nope, that's how you write it. That's exactly how you write it. And Jason just pipes up and goes, yes, that is exactly how you write it. And I wouldn't be any of the wiser. Hi there, Sky. Welcome to the stream. Do I look like the type of person to do that? You are Australian. You are Australian. I don't know if anyone else realizes this in chat. Australians are notorious in Australia for fucking with tourists. This accent, this body, every Australian would think I'm a target to, like, do some gaslight gatekeeping girl boss. Everyone thinks they can do that to me. Hi there, Dekus. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Think cooking on a master's level. You mean the Master Chef kitchen? Victoria, they don't just keep the Master Chef kitchen, that's a set. Thank you for the Hyper Himbo, Sir Dragon. I got my food, I can now run at normal speeds. Look at me. I'm fast as fuck, boy. Alright, I need to get so I need to get all the way down here, which is a straight shot down this way. Except the Yakuza have something to say to it. Don't fart in my stream! Anonymous. Oh, I wonder who could have anonymously donated 50 bits for a fucking fart in my stream. Who could it possibly be? Was it one of my moderators? Is it one of my good friends that decided to be like, you know what would be funny? You know what would be funny? Farting. 79% himbo. Nice work. Alright, this aways. Do you need glasses? Give him the coat. A pair of glasses. Oh, there's a dude that's like, oh, I need a pair of glasses. I need to find this dude. Where's the dude with the pair of... Also, we need to save this civilian. There's a dude somewhere in Kamarocho that's like, oh, my glasses. Not in the middle of a fight. Bam, boom. I wonder what 100% and said. You're a perfect Zeebs? There is no 100%. No one can reach 100% himbo or cute ratings. Only the truly exceptional viewers. Only the truly exceptional can... You can just deal with Kiryu now. You can deal with his, like, earthy tones of voice. Alright, you can just deal with him. I'm not talking to you, Code. You farted in my stream twice. You absolutely ruined this room. Hi there, Passenger. Welcome to the stream. Can we get a shout out for Passenger, please? They do streamings. They've raided into me a few times back, like in my early days as a streamer. They were there at the start. I appreciate you saying hi real quick. Hi. How's it going? How's things going on your side? Are one of my moderators going to be a moderator? Let's see. Alright, where's the dude with the glasses? There's a dude with glasses somewhere. Oh, hey, there's a rich dude over here we're gonna beat up. Things have been okay? Fair enough. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be, like, amazing. Like, it's 2024. We've all dealt with, like, for the last, like, 4 to, like, 8 years now at this point of, you know, just shit being absolutely miserable. So we're not asking for the world or anything like that. We're fine with just asking for... you know, just a little bit, just a little bit better than the daily. Now, where's the dude with the glasses? There's like a dude somewhere with glasses. He's not there, but somewhere there's a dude that's like, oh, my glass. Oh, where the fuck is he? There he is. All right, time to fight him. Whack him down on the ground. Do the twisty face thingy-madiggy. There we go, there we go. Damn it. Good cute rating. Aura time. Be back soon. Dinner is ready. Not to worry, Jason. Not to worry. I'm assuming Code is also going to be having dinner shortly, so... Ah! Got him again. So close to 69. Aw, you were close. I will admit you're close. Hi there, Masonic. Welcome to the stream. I got started in this stream, like... I just went, like, lickety-split into the game. I was not wasting time. I am not deciding... I didn't decide to do the, what's-a-mahoozy, thing of, you know, being in my chatting room for... like 30 minutes before we get into the game. I just decided we're going at 95! Jesus Christ, that's a really high himbo rating. Nice work. Good for you. Very proud of you there. 95% is a really high number. And we have defeated Gojo once again, and we are really close to getting to the next rank. Okay, so I need to head to Shine. I need to talk to a girl to get the Shangri-La membership. So I need to talk to a girl. A girl. How's Grant doing? Grant's doing alright. I will be real with you. I am living in, like, 4th time in a row now, I'm living paycheck to paycheck, but the good news is that this paycheck to paycheck is after I've put, like, $150 into my savings. So, yay! I put $150 into my savings on this paycheck because of the mixture of work and Twitch paying me. So, I am a little bit more, like, financially, you know, responsible this fortnight than I was the previous fortnight. I will be real with you, I did order in DoorDash a lot more often than I wish to, but I didn't do it as often as when I first got into this year. So I just need to tone down on that shit as much as possible. I need to make sure I have money for rent, which I always do. And then what is this girl's story? If I get deported. Oh, she's a Chinese immigrant, so shit. I had just been talking over, like, probably important story. Does DoorDash accept PayPal? Yes. Here's the thing. This is going to be a... Because PayPal doesn't do your bank shit for, like, 3 days some days, if you don't have any money in your account... You can just tell DoorDash to get the money out of your PayPal account instead. And what ends up happening is that PayPal, like, looks at one, like, you know, fund sort of thing. It's like, oh, okay, so we need to do a bank transfer from one thing to another to pay off this thing. DoorDash doesn't want to wait, you know, 2 or 3 days for PayPal to get back to them about that. So DoorDash is like, yep, okay, cool, you've paid your thing, now let's go for this thing. The only time that doesn't work is when PayPal knows you're lying to them and they're like, you don't have $40 in your bank account. We've asked before and you didn't pay up. That's the only time that PayPal will go back to DoorDash and be like, yeah, he doesn't have $40 in his that PayPal can get off him. And so DoorDash will then go, okay, well, you can't have that. So that tactic I do is only something I really do when it's like the weekend, when I don't have $40 in my bank account, but PayPal doesn't know this until Monday comes along. Cookie for Bookie! Here's your cookie, Bookie! Cookie. Oh, Cookie's gone. I just been explaining my, this is like, let's be real, that's probably like how people go into debt, is when they're just sort of like, oh, it's not coming from my bank account till days later, it's coming from my PayPal, and I'll just pay off my PayPal. So yeah, PayPal's not very smart. You support him all by yourself. Also, is this? Wait, didn't we already hear about a forger?
そこら辺にいるコピー野郎とは違うのか。
はい。その人がすごいのは、裏の戸籍まで完全に作り上げてくれるって噂です。
It's not tax fraud, okay? I can pay them. It's just I'm reliant on them only asking for the money when I get paid tomorrow. That's how it is.
大したもんだな。
私
Besides, most people do this kind of tactic, and what's more is I'm not. Let's be real. We're talking.
Alivrius with the 10-month tier 1 sub. Grant, it's been 10 months. Where's my child support?
I can't provide you any child support. You have no child, first and foremost. Secondly, there's been like no court date. We don't even know the child's name. We don't even know it's mine. What do you want about Alvirus? Where's my child support? I'm a child at heart. I could totally do so much more than subs. Thank you for the sub, though. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. You don't have to deal with the advertisements, for one thing, and you get to utilize all these cool emotes. Look at them. I updated them, because there was a few emotes that are now new. Do you see any of the new ones? It's been a while since you came here. All of these. These nuts. I'm an idiot. And voice mod is not working. God damn it. Why does voice mod not do its job? Excuse me while I open voice mod and try and get it working. And then gotta double check the stream deck for why it doesn't do the noise. Oh, wait, will it? There we go. He has all of these. He has your stripes. Bullshit. There is no evidence. None whatsoever. Besides, I'm busy giving this girl a fake passport because she's a Chinese immigrant in Japan. Or really, she's a undocumented Chinese migrant. Where can I find the forger? We then head to the jewel on Shikafuku Street. Ayaka-chan is the contact. Do I have to just go to fucking burlesque clubs and be like, "Sup, girl? I hear you can get me something I want." No, it's not you. Fuck off. I need a forger. The Yakuza are very exploitative of— Hey! What are you doing? Don't go stealing my shirt while I'm in the middle of a video game. What's— Oh, god damn it, more Yakuza. Is it me, or is the dragon, like, slow? Is the dragon, like, a slow fighting style? He feels slow. Like, the brawler feels fast, and then the dragon just feels, like, more methodical of a style. There we go. Don't throw knives at my head, by the by. It's dragon. Terrible. Oh, that's an adult sword. No, we're not going there. Out of the way! I need to get to a forger. God damn it. Goddamn goons. Not again! Out of my way, shirtless daddy coming through. Out of my way. Out of my way. I'm a furry. Here we go. Let's throw him. Did it. I lost like half my health, but that's okay. Can I go into the burger? No, I can't go into the burger joint. Alright. I'll go into the jewel really quickly. She's probably going to tell me that I need to go somewhere else. Why must you keep throwing me in the dungeon? How dare.
こんばんは、彩香です。ご指名ありがとう。今日はどっかで飲んできたの？
Thank you for requesting me. Did you already start drinking elsewhere tonight? I'm actually here to see you because I need to ask you about something. Do you know a man known as the Forger?
え？
Shine でキャバやってる
Shine May for Club Shine sent me to ask you about it for her. She knows something.
今初めて聞い
I
た
don't
の。
know anyone who goes by that name.
それ
or-
新しいお笑い
Is
芸
that the name of some new comedian? You really have no idea what I'm talking
人。
about.
わかった。新しい。もうそんなことより楽しく飲みまし。
邪魔したな
ちょっと。もう。お客さん。
Hi, Mama.
彩香が何かし。
いや
ごめんなさいね。あ、お題は結構です。
Cookie from a Sonic.
何も
Here
ない
you
じゃ
go.
ない。
Do you know?
すまんな
Do you
またい
know
らしてくださいね。
the Muffin Man? The Muffin Man? The Muffin Man.
ここかよし行くか
Where the fuck are you going? Am I gonna go back inside?
いい加減白状したらどうだ
Oh my god, they got a
お前が
sword.
公園でパスポート渡してるとこ目撃されてんだよ
その時はたまたま彼氏と待ち合わせしてただけって言ってるでしょ？
Good cut of the bottle, to be honest with you. Normally, like, blades don't do that very
は
well.
どこにいる
Yeah.
彩香ちゃん、早く。はい。
Okay, so they practically admit they're screwing us. Part 3 is where they usually do business. Alright, and then... Alright, we gotta head to Public Park 3. Knew this was gonna be a rule of 3 thing where we had to, like, run around doing shit. Alright. Who's calling me at this hour? Nishida, this is from the Majima family. Where is Majima waiting for me this time? This time is different. He's in a real foul mood right now, so I just wanted to warn you. If you stumble on him, he might actually rush you with his baseball bat. That sounds like just about every other encounter with him. Well, when he gets in one of those moods, he usually heads to the battering center to blow off steam. If I were you, I wouldn't go anywhere near it. Got it. Alright, so batting cages are where I would need to go to find Majima again. But we're not going to go to Majima right now. We need to go... We got so much more of this mission to do. Also, I need to figure out, like, what these keys are. There's like a place to go for the... Yeah, there it is. Like, there's all these keys here. So, we've got to nearly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So there's 22 keys that we still need to get. Medieval silver coin. A Buddhist statue. A fossil? What the fuck? Is there any rhyme or reason to this shit? There is not a rhyme or reason to this shit. Hey, brass knuckles. And a sacrifice stone. Alright. Oh, hey, another key thing. D1. Alright. 1 down, 21 to go. Easy. This is still... There's probably an easy-to-read guide telling me, like, where I need to go to and such, and what's more, I just need to keep an eye on, like, you know, what's on the ground and shit. Alright, we got some people to fight.
最近どうも偽造パスポートの買い手が減ったと思ったら、てめえらがパスポートを横流ししてるらしいな。こっちは商売上がったりで困ってるんだよ。この落とし前どうしてくれる？殺すだけじゃもったいねえ。切り刻んでナマスにしてやる。
もしかするとお前らジャカの残党か。
あ、何者だ？
俺もこいつに用があってな。悪いがお前らに用はね。
邪魔するとお前も。
Cookie for Hawaiian pizza. Here's your cookie.
こいつどこかで見たと思ったらキリュウじゃねえのか。
It is Kiryu. Do not be messing with me.
お前ら細々とパスポート作りの内職か。
黙れ！お前のおかげで俺たちどんだけ苦しんだかぶっ殺すぞ。
All right. Here you go, Zhao. Also, sorry, you missed out on your cookie, Het. I'm in the middle of a fight for my life. Back slap. I wish I could use the dragon, honestly, in those scenes rather than like the other forms. Swift kick to the head is always good. Thank goodness Kamurocho is literally littered with weapons. Everything is a weapon to Kiryu when he's in beast mode. Like Jackie Chan in an IKEA, it's dangerous.
ちょっと試させてもらったわ。
新名に偽造パスポートを
And if it be Shimi, she needs it to work in this town a little bit longer.
わかったわ。ママ、お願いしていいよね。
まさか
The lady of the club is Mama.
さっきのお店で待って。
Cool. All right, we get ourselves a forged passport, and we just needed to go to a ladies' club. Okay. Nothing there to pick up. Nothing here to pick up. We're gonna slow. Also, hang on. I've got some completion points, so I bet you We can talk to good old... Hang on a second. Is there something on the ground here? No, there isn't. I thought I saw, like, a light shine. There's so many flashing lights that using lights as, like, the thing to be like, ah, yes, there's something shiny over here was not exactly the best option. Kawami Bob. Hi, Bob. Bottomless stomach. Enjoy food even when full. Absolutely. Dash for longer, recover more kibi. Get the Ebisu socks. Dash without getting tired. Get the Beast Amulet accessory. Get the Lucky Bindings. Ying Long Tonfas. Dragon Shirt. Bindings Mail. Beads of Good Fortune. And the Golden Pistol. Alright, so that's the Beast Amulet. The Lucky Charm would require... Fuck it, let's go for the go fast. That way we can just run for longer. Alrighty. I can now eat whatever foods I want and get, like, the fucking places done. Watch this shit. Watch as I eat everything on the menu at once. And then I get the completion point of, congratulations, you have eaten everything off the menu. Look at this. Nom, 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 nom. Oh my god, we're so full. But I keep eating food. Yum. Yum. Sushi Jin completed! Yay! And we got ourselves 1,000 points for scoffing down food. So much food. It's so glorious. So much food. Could you imagine being able to do that, like an actual sushi restaurant, just eating everything off the menu? Granted, you'd be fairly sick, but it'd be worth it. We have now completed everything on this thing. We can't complete the rest of that, so what does this give us? A resist guard thing. A mighty charged kick attack that can be unleashed from a rush combo. Rally from a damage state by weaving. Put up your guard again when an enemy attacks. Changing your style immediately after evading. Form up to 5 consecutive rushes. A bear hug unleashed from a resist guard, usable in heat mode. Yep, let's use that one. The chef is both pleased and horrified. I just eat everything. He just makes it one at a time, and I just grab the... Because it's normally like just a piece of sushi. It's like, it easily fits in your mouth, and you're just sort of like... Nom. Just... Nom. Easy. No problems whatsoever. Now, where's the dude who's missing his glasses? There's a dude missing his glasses somewhere. Also, I need to sell some shit. Because I'm pretty sure there's some shit I need to sell. You. It would sell well, but you might incur divine wrath. Fetch a fine price. I'm not gonna sell the Buddhist statue, because that honestly sounds like a mistake. Why are you screaming, passenger? A meteor fragment. A charm with an aura. Using it increases your chances of getting an ace out in CeeLo. That's in the item boxes. Medieval coin. Yep. Gift item. A red jewel. Iron plate. Alrighty. We've earned 2 million yen in our troubles. Bear hug. Thank you so much for the bear hug. You know you can do exclamation point hug and you'll get like a hug message. So great. So good. You'll love it. Alright, now where's the dude with the glasses missing? Also, is there like things on the ground around here? Hey, here he is. There's the sharp-eyed man. Alrighty. Head pat failed. Did it? Absolutely boned. I swear the head pats would be working.
Boy.
You asked for 200,000 yen and all you give me is 20,000 yen? Ridiculous. I didn't kick through him. I gave him a love tap with the heel of my shoe. Don't think too hard about this stuff. Is this the guy missing the glasses? No. Okay, I need to go to Jewel first, and then we're good. Okay. Hey, his glasses!
Boy.
Super strength adhesive tape. Oh, there's a homeless shelter that I think might need some tape. It's just gonna be a long line of like bartering and shit where it's like, oh, I need this, I need that. Oh. Alright. More street ruffians to fight. This is when I'm a dangerous Zeeb, is when you stop me from getting to my food or to my monies. Hi there, Phantom. Welcome to the stream. Here. Something in my teeth. Jackie Chan did a Chinese recreation of I'll Make a Man Out of You from Mulan. He did? He did? Didn't think he would. Don't know why. I do not think of Jackie Chan as that kind of guy. Wait, are they... Nope, they're not bothering her. Cool. Yeah. Oh, look at me go. Look at my flamboyantness. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun, dun. Here's what was promised. Give it to Shinmie. A fake passport. Cool. Kazuma-san ordered something from me 5 years ago. What? Birth certificate, decision... Faked it all. Then I got it filed into the public record. You created an entire person that only exists on paper. Oh, okay. So I guess you're just gonna reveal that you have all these skills to make all that kind of stuff, and then not explain to me who the person is, because then it would be a conflict of interest nonsense. Also, it is really fucking bright. Can we get moving? Yes, let's get moving. And down here we go. There's barely anyone on these roads now that it's daytime and it looks... You start to realize just how seedy all these different burlesque clubs are. anything down? There's a police officer here. What? I don't have my ID. How am I doing? I'm doing fairly alright. I am getting through Yakuza Kiwami. I didn't have to work today, which is nice. And yeah, I don't get too much stuff going off in my day that I'm like, I need to share this news with chat. I'm very much more reliant on like chat coming to me with like news and things like that. Granted, when Masonic says, oh, Jackie Chan did a Chinese re-singing of I'll Make a Man Out of You, I'm not too sure how to go with that, because I'll Make a Man, like, Be a Man from Mulan, I think that's the actual, it's like, be a man, you must be swift and of course, like, that song, you know, it's cool and all, and, you know, I don't know how to take, like, I wouldn't know if you would like to do it. I'm not paying you. Do you realize that it would be... That's enough. You dare ask who I am, you bastards? You already got me earlier. What's going on here? I looked up the public record. There's no one with your name in this whole jurisdiction. You think you can fool a Yakuza and get away with it? You got anything to say for yourself? Do I want to check DMs? Do I really want to check DMs right now while I'm in the middle of streaming? You have to check how much an internal hard drive for a PS5 costs. You're gonna find that it's gonna be dependent on the hard drive size, but also remember, the PlayStation 5 wants a particular PCIe version. I think they're looking for PCIe version 5 in the NVMe drives. They don't want like just a cheap NVMe. They want like one of the relatively newer ones. Nani? Nani? Who do I have to find? Mizuno, we used to live together a long time ago. He was always so nice to me, so I gave him my Shangri-La membership card. But if you tell him I sent you, he would be willing to give it up. You can probably find him at the Information Center on Shikafuku Street. An Italian necklace. Cool, I got an Italian scarf in the locker and an Italian necklace right now. It is way too fucking tempting going to the batting cages. Yeah, Best Buy would have it. Best Buy in United States and Canada is like fairly useful. Like Australia doesn't have very many, you know, retail stores for devices and such. JB Hi-Fi is probably the closest one, but it's never going to, you know, dig in deeper to things like internal components. JB Hi-Fi will only give you, like, the easy-to-provide, like, external components or whatnot. They're not doing graphics cards or anything like that, or, you know, internal hard drives. It's just way too costly. Because that's why there's, like, these wholesalers or what have you, like Umart, MSY, for instance, those two stores, you can purchase internal components from, but they don't exactly have, like, this lovely storefront for you to do like the browsing and everything like that. Their catalog, you look online, you pick what you want online, and then you go into like this sort of warehouse shop, stand in a queue, tell them what your order number is, and they say give us a minute, and they go into the back where their warehouse is and try and get the try and get the components you ordered online. If you get S rank, you get a metal bat shirt, toughness light. Alright, let's see if I can... Alright, let's give it a try. Check. Alright, so what's this one? So that one's broken. And this is the easy one. Alrighty. Let's see how good I am. Oop. 3, 2, 1. Three, two. Another curveball. Yes! Alrighty, so 18 is probably a very high number to get. And it doesn't look like I will be given, like, a, you know, a multiplier bonus. Wait, I wonder, is there, like, a thing for, like... Damn it. 3, 2, 1. I am wasting my shots. I'm an American, goddammit. I have to be good at baseball. God damn it! Seems odd. Only good thing... God damn you. The source seems odd. You're not... Nice. Okay, so I have to... Here we go, here we go. I guess home run is the only thing we can get. Alright, never mind. Let's try and get 500. Can we get 600? Nah, we get another stinker. The store seems odd. Only good thing about Best Buy is that if I buy something and it's not in stock, I can pay them and have it shipped to my place. That's pretty decent. That's good. Is it, like, extra for shipping? And once again, sinking. I got C rank for getting 5 home runs. Jesus Christ. Oh, would you look at that? It's fucking Majima.
Yeah.
Can't back down. I have memories here too, and I'm not about to hand them over to you. Some rare shit. Alrighty, Majima, we're going for another fight. We're going for another fight. I know how your combat style works. And apparently I am oblivious to it. Here we go. So yeah, and also the commands to use the say rather than using bits or if you're not using bits and channel redeems, the only way to use the TTS is if you're one of my moderators, because that's more of a like an emergency thing for them to like be able to like try and say something to me if I'm like really immersed into chat without if I'm not like in a Discord or something. Excuse me while I drink that. There we go. I'm used to how it was when you first had it as a TTS. Yeah, no, that's fine, that's fine. I remember when I first had it, I had it like almost to a level of like, oh, even subscribers had it. But the thing I found was that if you were not a subscriber and you just saw all these subscribers like using the TTS bot, you were less encouraged to speak up in chat, I noticed. And I was already having enough trouble trying to like, you know, get people to my channel, let alone changing from being, you know, just lurkers that might be like holding me onto a second stream or something like that. Holding me to a second stream and, you know, maybe want to say something or encourage like some sort of conversation from me. Yes. So yeah. The only cost is Barnes & Noble. If you're buying something under 50, if it's you got to pay for shipping. Anything over 50 is okay. Yeah, free shipping after a certain price is usually like par for the course, unless it's like a ridiculously heavy thing, like it is in a lot of technology. So. Yes, we are now rank B. Slowly but surely, we are getting all of our Dragon of Dojima abilities back. New abilities. Soul. Let's see, what does that give us? If you run during climax, you won't recoil. What's this? Increase the climax heat gauge. Sure. There we go. I'm gonna get like a meal or two from here. Sushi shet, yakitori. I'm just gonna eat it right here. There we go. Oh, that was Christmas music in the store because we are really close to Christmas right now. Oh, what do you know? Majima is right fucking there. There we go. Once again, fighting the... Oh my god, his health bar is so much bigger now. Before, it was just barely in the yellow. Now it's in the green. Nope, you're not gonna get some health back. I'm gonna whack you as strongly as I can. There we go. Weirdly enough, the bear is fairly effective at... Yes. Barnes & Noble's GameStop, Best Buy is a few minutes away, so... Okay, that's convenient.
Hello.
Hi, YY. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing all right. Thank you for coming in. I have defeated Majima once more time. I am now at rank B. An Australian oak. What's this about an Australian oak? Are you talking about, like, Australian oak, the whatsamahoozy, like the iced coffee or milk, or, like, flavored milk? Or are you talking about Australian oak, like the tree? I heard you have a membership. Long story, I need that card. It's really important that I get one. Sorry, but is there any way you can be apart from it? Can't give it to you for free, but you can buy it off me. It goes for around 1,000,000 yen in the underworld. How about 500,000? How about 100? Are you fucking... So... Okay, I can at least buy it for 500. How about 300 yen? There we go. Didn't have to fuck around with that. If you were a tree, which tree would you be? Ooh. Oh, that's okay. I remember. Okay, here's the difficult part. I don't know about that many trees. I'm not super knowledgeable about all those different kinds of trees you can be getting. I know that there's like at least 50 like state trees in the United States, and then over in Canada they have their state trees as well. Like, ooh, like, I don't know why, but like, I want something like the redwoods, like over in California. I love the redwood trees from California, but I don't know if I would be a... What in the world is that? What is that? That is fucking spooky. That is so fucking... You want to be a sequoia? Hang on a second. I've heard of that one. Bing, ding, bong. Tree. I should probably have, like... Oh, it's like the giant trees in, Wait, are they in fucking Oh, they are, they're giant redwoods. Oh, so we had the, like, okay, maybe not those redwoods, I suppose, but, damn. I'll need to, like, look at a map of, like, state trees. I think that's what I need to do, is I need to look at, like, the different state trees that the United States have, and go for, and, like, be like, alright, I think I'd go for this one here. Because, like, I don't think I would be, you know, that kind of, I don't think I would be a giant, you know, very thick-based tree, but I do like the redwoods. So I'd need to have, like, a little more figure-y out about all that shit, to be real with you. It will take time, but one day I will figure out where I am as a tree. Man, you've hit me with an interesting one there. What would I be as a tree? Okay, I gotta head back to Purgatory. A General Sherman for you. That's another redwood tree. That's like one of the bigger ones. That was like one of the big... It's like the biggest one, isn't it? I am not interested in being the biggest tree, I'll be real with you. That doesn't interest me. Being the biggest is just meh. Maybe it's because I was surrounded by like, I don't know what it is about the hyper-endowed community and such like that. You get, like, you get a fucking barometer crazy, like, you know, one extreme to another of those that are, like, you know, relatively big and, you know, are fine at that size and what have you. But then all of us... there are some weird guys following you. I've seen them because I'm watching you. Today, there were 10 more usual. Kind of worried for you. If this keeps up, you and the girl are going to be... But don't even sweat it. Got a pen. Hitch a ride in that taxi. I talked to the driver and everything is cool. But don't dawdle. Get in the taxi right away. Alright. Zeebs, can you tell me something? Sure. Oh, yeah, okay. Hopefully it's not a full-on derailment, but okay. So, coming here would shake off those guys? Not exactly. You'll get your chance to shake them off soon enough. Here comes the back of goons now. Oh, joy. If that's what it's about, then you must be ex-Dojima. I knew you boys were persistent, but it's all coming together now. You butt balls. You butt balls have been sitting around planning this day for the last 10 years. What a goddamn waste of time. Majima, stay out of this. If you would, this is an internal family issue. I don't give two hot shits. Nobody gets in the way of my fight with Kiryu-chan. What? Come on, Kiryu-chan. Let's roast these meatheads so we can get on with our fight. So that's why you brought me here. I should have known. You psycho, Majima. Doesn't matter, though. We're gonna end this here, Kiryu. Men, kill them both. Your ex has been harassing you? Oh, fuck. That's not great. That's bullshit. Alright, that's uncalled for. Like, what the fuck is up with them? Have they just, like, been creating, like, repetitious accounts or some shit? Something's up. Do not fucking shoot me with a gun, you bastard. And, of course, he... Four. You sent me the state tree map? Does it have examples of the trees? Because I don't know if I would be interested otherwise without it. Of course this guy decides to get a gun. Thank you, Majima, for helping me out with this. Did you see my question? Where's the question? If you became a planet, what kind of planet would you be, and what kind of star would you orbit? That's a very crazy one. Like, I think I would just be Earth, to be real with you. Like, I can't really think of a planet. Like, what the fuck kind of... I don't know. Like... Yeah, just Earth with our solar system. That's probably what I'd be thinking of. So many accounts harass me to the point that I'm scared to stream, and he just completely derails my streams. Yeah, okay. Hang on. Set 2 examples. Cool. Give me a second to, like, stay alive. One moment, please. And then I drink this just to... Yes! Did I disarm him? No, I did not. God damn it. I thought he was gonna shoot me in the fucking head then. But yeah, we're gonna need to have a... Hopefully I can get this... We might need to have a talk, Wild Saber. Because that's not great that someone is like, you know, bullying you and shit on the platform. Like... What the f... This is gonna be a bit of a conversation and a half. You can lock out new accounts from chatting. You can do, like, you can set that up. Like, I've recommended that as well. You might need to be, like, a lot harsher with the settings. Like, but if these... yeah, we're gonna need to have a chat. Maybe the next time I've got, like, an ad break or something like that. There we go. Bam. You'd be a very large plant that has moons the size of suns and orbits a great red star. That's crazy. Ow, he had to shoot me that then, didn't he? Here we go. I set all those settings, but it's mainly harassing me via social media now. Ah, okay. Majima! No! Oh, that's fucking bullshit. Uncalled for. Alright, time to head back to Shangri-La. And it's starting to snow, so we must be getting close to the end. So, you finally got what you need, huh? I gotta deal with a summons from the higher-ups. Can you report them? Here's the problem. I think here's the problem, Passenger. We can't get into too many details with Wild Saber right now. Like, one, I'm in the middle of streaming right now, and two, this is like a public forum and such. The situation that Wild Saber is having right now, I think there needs to be like an actual like sort of one-on-one conversation about this. Like, this is like, because like what we're talking about here is basically harassment, and what we don't know is whether it's just the one person that's doing this and they're just, you know, being able to, oh, you have a good night, Sky. Whether it's like, you know, just the one person doing this and they're just, you know, that fucking meticulous, or if they're trying to get other people involved and what have you, like an internet troll and such. And two, like, one-on-one conversation will probably be much more conducive to like just a conversation that Wild Saber needs right now, rather than, you know, me giving a really quick like 2 to 5 minutes of like, oh, I'm sorry to hear this, Wild Saber. Here are some things I can give you right now, without, you know, divesting from the stream like I am right now. But the reason for the divesting from the stream right now to talk to Wild Saber is because I think this is like something really important now, where it's not just, hi there, code. It's not just a quick tip of, oh, you can block new channels from trying to communicate with you. Because what Wild Saber has said now is, hey, like, everything social media-wise is now just getting tainted by this experience. That's going to take a lot more conversation than, you know, this format. They need a friend. They need to, like, actually talk to someone one-on-one about this during a time when, you know, preferably neither of them are busy, kind of thing. Because right now I'm a little bit busy. Does that make sense? Hopefully this makes sense. Also, welcome back, Code. How was dinner, by the by? Was dinner good? What did you have for dinner? Was it like a pasta, or was it like a... I forgot to cook my steaks. God damn it. I forgot to cook my steaks. I know it's weird taking a 9-year-old girl like Haruka into a place like Shangri-La, but you've got to deal with it. You want to take Haruka with me to Shangri-La? Yes, we might as well. Kiev and cab. I love how I'm like sending him, I'm like talking, and it's like very directed to Wild Saber, and I'm like, oh, does this make sense? And then the one time chat decides to be a fucking hive mind is when it's that point there, because it's two people who aren't even Wild Saber being like, yeah, that makes sense. It's like, no. I need to know if Wild Saber knows this. Wild Saber's the one having these problems. Wild Saber needs to know. All right. We got our mission. We're heading to Shangri-La. We're heading to a bathhouse with a young girl. Have I ever used... That sounds like a drug. Is everyone just piling on? Is this my Q&A moment now? Is everyone like El Carnage? Oh, no, don't run into people, Haruka. Is the name of a paradise that's hard to reach. Is that what Shangri-La doesn't sound like that. But if it's paradise, that means... Cause... Oh, god damn you. Why you gotta do this to me? Though I hate to say it, the carbonara was a bit spicy. Isn't... Like, carbonara's good. It's a sports nutrition. Can you, like, let me fight, please? Now? Cookie for Jason! I don't think it's gonna let me... I don't think it's gonna let me fight. Hello? Everyone's just applauding for me to fight. You just realize this is a hive mind. No. What I'm saying is normally it's not a hive mind chat. Normally, I'm talking to chat like sort of a la 1v1 very often. There's very few times that there's like, oh, here's a question that's like, fight the child. Look, I can't fight them right now. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna Alt F4. That's gonna stop them. There's still noises going off in the background that doesn't make sense. But it's... What in the world? What is... Where are the noises coming from? Where is the Yakuza 0 game? Come on. Where are you? Here it is. Yakuza Kiwami. My god, it was like sitting in the background. I Alt F4'd that shit and it was like, oh, we'll get to ya. It's using like 20% of your CPU, but we'll get to ya. Yakuza Kiwami. Alright, let's run that again. Let's run it one more time. Sound alerts no work? What do you mean sound alerts no work? You didn't send any sound alerts. There's nothing there. Sega! Is making the noise. It's not making the noise. Don't be ridiculous. I paid twice for a fart reverb. This will be honestly hilarious if it decided to break there. Because here's the thing. I cannot refund bits. There we go.
Wild_Saber 1337 demands you drink.
Are you happy? It decided to fart. You paid twice and it finally happened. Hang on a second. Let me see if it's on the dashboard. You know, knowing my luck, it's gonna happen again in like another minute or two. Ah, would you look at that? Code the Yoshi played fart reverb for 50 bits. Cookie for YY. How's it going, YY? Alrighty. Back to Yakuza shit. Continue. Autosave. Hopefully that was not too far away. Hi, Incineroar. Oh, I have to go in there, pick up the child. That was timed. That one feels timed. You only did the fart redeem when my ass was showing. You only did the fart redeem then. How the fuck did you do that? Saying you complained about paying double, and then it's just like, oh, the joke was ruined. Then my ass gets shown, and then there's another fucking fart. Not my shirt again, Incineroar! You know what? I wish my timing was that good. Clip it. Clip it. Yes, I'm going to take her to Shangri-La because the safest place she is with me. I need to encourage more people to clip my channel. I have barely the brain power or the time to, you know, roll back through like 3 hours of my stream and go, yes, this is a clippable moment. Thank you for the hype. I'm bald! My eyes! I wish I wasn't bald. There we go. Hang on. I need a... Just before we hit Shangri-La. Children are not exactly... We're on a field trip. You can let it slide. She won't be... He does not give a shit now. That is the most unhinged... That is the most unhinged Kiryu has been. What the fuck? How much has happened in, like, the last few days that he's just sort of like, ah, yes, let's just fucking go bam. I love that you clipped it, Phantom, but you could title it. Hang on a second. Watch this shit. Watch this shit. Hang on a second, hang on a second, hang on a second. So, ding dong, ha-ding, ha-bing. There is a place you can go to. If you have ever done a clip, that you've created or something or rather, what you do is you go to... So, for example, this would be for Phantom. Phantom would go to that website. So basically the idea is that you just need to replace... In the section that says username, you just replace that with your username, and then you're able to see like all the different clips you've created. Because I bet you there's more than one that you've clipped in a particular area. I've done that. Actually, most recently I did a hang on a second, let me get this one. Copy the link, and then if I go !play, and then I paste this in here, it should pop up in the top left. Hopefully, let's see. It gives you, going high tech, it gives my co-host Zoro time to get ungrounded and gives me time to tweak my setup, so Silver Lining. Oh, I didn't know you had a co-host. Is it going to... Oh, maybe it's watch? ! Watch? There we go.
We are going to play it straight away on the day.
Radio. There's more. Oh, there we go.
I mean, sorry.
It's the French. I just had to share that clip from. That was from Code Stream. Was he gets bombarded. He's going through the Shadowbringers questline, and his first thought in seeing Renard is, "Daddy," and my first thought is, "It's the French." The absolute audacity of Code. Gives me shit for seeing boobies on stream, and he's like, "Daddy, Daddy." Alright, so, oh, check it out. I have fully upgraded my body. My body is fully, like, it's armed, ready, and maxed out. It's pretty on point for me, though, isn't it? It very much is. It very much is. Alrighty, pressure with a powerful combo. This uses up the gauge, usable in heat. Y, and then YY. Okay. Double finishing blow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Y, then Y. Sure, let's go with that one. And then we'll go with that one. And then... Charging at an enemy guarded with a... to knock that enemy... This has no effect on weapon masters. This sounds a good one to use with the bear. It's just like, Daddy, the French! One thing I do want to solve, however, because I don't know if you noticed it there, and I don't know if it's, like, noticeable here, but I need to redo my EQ, I feel. I need to, like, talk to a sound engineer or some shit like that and be like, hey, how do you make your voice, like, not shit? Like, how do you know what you're making is, like, good and all? Hang on. Damn it. And the only people I know, the only, like, sound engineer people I know that's like, oh yeah, they've done this, like, educatedly or professionally. The only two people I know are Kahlua and Kusaki. Kusaki I've already asked for, like, some shit, and I don't want to go to them again asking for more shit because I don't want to, like, ruin the professional relationship there, especially while I'm sending them a message once a month going, hey, I love your streams. Do you want to join in on mine, please? I'm just sending them embarrassing messages of just like, please, sir, can you join? Giving no actual positive to the relationship. Meanwhile, Kahlua doesn't do streaming anymore, and you know they're probably, and I think they're happier for it now as well. And plus, like, you know, they want to eat me. It's absolutely feral. They just want to eat me. And I feel like if I did go to them and they would just be like, "Give me that leg, boy." You got to sleep now? Not to worry, Dekus. Also, I still have Kahlua's.
Give me that leg, boy.
I should probably convert that into, like, just exclamation point leg or leggies, and then just go to, like, all the different lions and hyenas and, like, predator streamers and just be like, hey, I would like a recording of you, like, demanding my leg or something like that. Just for funsies. So then, because, like, do I have one for Z? Hang on. No. What about Kusaki? No. What about... Oh, I have one. I have several of Icy. Icy has so many of them, it's not even funny. He has so many of them, and they're used so much by furry cures, who I expect is going to come into the stream in about 14 minutes, and it's going to be like, dang nammit. I don't know what they sound like in real life. I just know they're in America, and I'm just thinking of like a very thick American accent, like Boss Hogg from Smokey and the Band. He's just like, dang name it, I missed him. I knew I shouldn't have taken my nap. If you got fruit or salmon, your leg is safe from me. Oh yeah, you're a bear. Bears don't eat zebras, though. Bears go to the river, and then they fight John West in a wrestling match to steal the best salmon. John West endures the worst to bring you the best. One of the better everyone has seen the advertisement of the bear. No, we're not splitting up. That is a terrible idea. Alright, nothing there. Nothing there. Like, there's a John... I don't think there are any desert bears. Well, no, you're talking about the plains. Zebras aren't in the desert. Zebra are in the savanna and the plains. Fun fact, there is a subspecies of a plains zebra, one of the largest and like both size and populace in the savannah. Do you want to know what the name of this subspecies of zebra is called? GrantZeebs. There's a fucking zebra species named after me, and I didn't know this when I made my persona all those years ago. Holy shit, did I make my persona like 10 years ago? Hang on. My first commission of my zebra that I like, the earliest one that like had a reference sheet, I want to say was 2015 from what Insomnia? I knew about furries ever since I was like 17 or 18. Holy shit. Have I been Grant for like 10 years? I've only been streaming for like 3 years. And I've had the zebra persona for like 10. What the fuck have I been doing the last 7 years with him? Fuck. Time to sue those zebras for copyright infringement. Just pulling out a gun and being like, give me your stripes. I earned them.
J.I.
Don't eat J.I. me, Hendrix. Nope, nothing here. Alright, we need to go upstairs. Follow me, Haruka. Wiping my face. First room. Nope. Alrighty, next. Jesus Christ, that's bigger than most hotels. What the fuck is with this soap room? Can't go to this one. Weird. Can we go into this one? Yes, we can. Top floor, very, very far back. Alrighty. We gotta go talk to her. Most bears will choose carrion or vegetarian before they go for hunting animals with legs. Fair enough. Oh, did you know bears don't actually hibernate? Apparently, like, our idea that bears hibernating in the winter that's not a thing. They have, like, there's, like, the one bear we think that does that, you know, is the one that, like, you know, they have, like, longer sleeps and such, but they're still waking up and all this kind of nonsense and doing all that. Hi.
Kiryu だ。シンジから聞いてないか。
Kiryu? あなたが?
Oh yeah, this is why we went to her, because, like, Shinji might have talked to her about some shit. Didn't I tell you this? Did you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember you telling me anything.
最後に会った時、彼言ってたの。自分にもしものことがあったら、あなたが訪ねてくるかもしれないって。いつもふざけてたあの人が急に真剣な顔してね。
Okay, so she had an idea that he would die and shit.
しんちゃん死んじゃったんだ。おかしいと思った。だってね、あの人急に今やってることが片付いたら結婚しようなんて言ってさ。
すまない。
いいの。私の方こそごめんなさい。
Sounds like you need a better lighter. Oh, nope, you got a lighter.
風間さんね。確かにここにいたんだけど、しんちゃんの知り合いが来て連れて行っちゃったの。
誰だ？
近江連合の寺田さん。
近江連合。そいつは本当に。
I just read what Wild Saber wrote. Brilliant. keep that in your like little
不当に
thingamajiggy.
止めた船に連れて行くって言ってたわ。
Take him to on the wharf there. Sorry that I'm not like saying the lines out loud and such like that. I am in a
こう言ってたわ。
I'm in a very like just bleh kind of
会長の
mood.
それに次の4代目が指名されているんだって。
Huh?
遺言状そんなものがそれじゃ錦はそいつを握りつぶそうと
しんちゃんはそう言ってたわ。
何
The fuck?
いい音聞かせるや
Are you serious, Majima? Just get a membership card like the rest of us. God damn it. We're going out. Alright. We got a fight on our hands. Oh, they are pulling out all the stops, aren't they? Yeah, I thought that would be better. Yes! Catch a knife, catch the knife, catch the knife. Yeah! That man rolls in style? Look, he dresses up stylish, but throwing a fucking... Hello. I see you have a couch. It would be a shame if you had to take a seat. Never mind. I thought I could, you know, hit him with the chair and then... Yeah! Nice. Wasted joke moment there. Well, if you feel so confident, you can tell a joke, Code. There's nothing stopping you. Unless you have to go to a stream. Oh, hammer time. Bong. Absolute. Oh, if you got him in the head, that would have been a lot worse. Huh? Oh, hello. I can pick up this table. Just absolutely demolish each and every one of them. Oop. Not interested as I make my way through the... Oh, so now I have to do this. Okay, hang on. There we go. I knew it was a good idea. Gotta get down to the
Sure, I
lobby.
got a joke. What's the difference between an enzyme and a hormone? You can't hear an enzyme.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's bandaged up, so it's obviously not been that long ago. He's not even holding. He's not holding the blade like against her neck. So this could be a foil trying to get us to fight him. But who knows?
真島やめろ。そうか、正直な子や。え、それで？ほれ、ここ危ないで。はよ行き。
It's interesting those two become what? Kiryu and Majima. Like we kind of figured that, but the only reason I know that is because I played Yakuza Like a Dragon, so.
俺がそうやからな。そうかい。この間いいとこで邪魔が入るよった。ここで蹴りつけようやないの。
Oh. And now we gotta fight Majima. Okay, he makes this hurt. Oh my god, the Sakura Storm just throws him. Okay, maybe tight spaces will make this work. Amazingly enough, it is. The tight spaces tactic with the bear was like weirdly enough working. Oh, that was convenient. Do you... Ow. What the fuck is happening to the building? The fuck is happening? Oh, we were on another floor, that's why. Get up! And stop stuttering. Damn it. Just in the dark, like our fists lighting up the Am I stuck? No. I will not be stuck when fighting Goro Majima. I've beaten him like a couple hundred times out on the streets. This will not be one of those times I lose on the first go. There we go. Dragon's Dogma 2 on release? I don't know. I don't exactly have a lot of spare funds, and I've been like living paycheck to paycheck the last few times. So I've been trying to I have to redo like a lot of my habits and shit. No, you son of a bitch. I have to redo a number of like my habits and what have you. Because like groceries I don't get as often as like my delivered meals, but I need to do that a little more often if I want to, you know, have money left over, especially now that my rent has increased like this year in order to stay in my current place. There we go. Does the OC Grant have a car or a motorbike? I don't think he has a car or a motorbike. I don't have a car or a motorbike. Sorry I didn't see your message earlier. Ah, you motherfucker. You snapped my fucking neck! God damn you. Ow. Yes! He's dead. Well, he's dead now. Let's hope it comes to Game Pass. I don't know if it is Dragon's Dogma 1 on Game Pass? Because maybe that's what I need. Maybe I need like another, like, because I did this with when the Suicide Squad came out. Maybe I need to make sure I have a game. Maybe I need to have a game like to dip into in between my Yakuza sessions. So then that way, but I feel like if I do that, then I barely have time to like, because then I'm like dipping into 2 different games that I need to like do side content and offline stuff with in order to keep up to date with it and shit. But if it's just the one game, like in this case, Yakuza Kiwami, then, you know, I have more time to be able to, if I'm fucking around on stream, I'm fucking around on stream.
さっき本庁に呼ばれてお前のことを根掘り葉掘り聞かれた。おそらく神宮から圧力がかかったんだ。大丈夫なのか、だってさ。逆だ。クビになってもおかしくねえのに、奴ら俺がお前とつるんでるうちはクビにできねえんだよ。行くんだろ桐生、芝浦に。ああ。
Alright, we gotta now head to Shibuya Wharf.
近江連合が絡んでるとは。俺はお前とは別、芝浦に向かう準備できた。芝浦に行く準備はできた。
I'm ready to go. Shibuya. We're not gonna be fucking around. It's not on the Game Pass, damn. Hey, we finished chapter 11. Ding. Clear that. Find Kazama.
Oi.
Destroyer of Lands, the most powerful cannon available. Tempting. Modified lighter, the Sakura Storm. Gust of Thingamadigi, dagger, a blackjack. Alright, well. Let's give it a try. Let's fix some equipment. There we go. And then, let's see, what can we sell? Not really anything I want to sell.
Sure.
Better to save your questions for Terada-san. There's no telling when the others will find this place. Terada-san is a calculating man. He's already played several Tojo clan officers for fools. Direct subordinates. Our actions aren't even known to Omni Alliance headquarters. The only ones in the loop are the people right here. Why is the Omni Alliance even evolved? Where is Kazuma? He's waiting for you on board. You can get more details from him directly. Alright? Everything's going according to plan. And what plan is that? Look, I know you'll need to see it for yourself, but keep this in mind. Terada-san is a man who honors his debts. He's a good man. Noted. Noted on that part.
あの人多分バッティングセンターで助けてくれた人、ペンダントのことを教えてくれた。
Huh. Okay.
行くぞ、はるか。
Interesting that he knew this stuff. Alrighty, here we go. Wait, is there anything around here we might want to pick up? You're back from the shower? Welcome back! The shower is a very funny place to have a dinner, but you do you. Greetings.
なぜ風間のおやっさんを。
桐生さんと同じですよ。俺も風間さんには返しきれない恩が。風間さんがお待ちです。こちらへ。
よく来たな、カズマ。おやさん、ご無事で。すまなかった。苦労をかけたな。あの寺田って男は、もともと俺と同じ元ヒットマンだ。そうだったんですか。近江連合本部長の肩書きで、登場会に探りを入れてもらってた。
Okay.
特に、錦山をな。
Oh, by the by, I've added a few things to my throne most recently. So some of it is like, you know, crazy expensive, like, you know, paying my rent for the week. That one's crazy. But then there's like some smaller stuff, which I feel like it, you know, would be a very lovely gift. Like 45 rolls of toilet paper. Or is it 48? A large number of rolls of toilet paper. I don't go through toilet paper very often, but normally the rule of toilet paper is that it's usually better to purchase in large bulk because it's expensive trying to transport like small quantities of toilet paper, which is why the price of toilet paper, like per sheet, when you buy like a pack of 12, is usually cheaper than, you know, say a pack of 6 or something like that. So even though, like, you know, pure numbers wise, it's like, oh, the 6-pack is cheaper than the 12-pack. On a per 100 sheets thing, it's cheaper actually to go for the 12-pack. So that's why I put like the 48-pack on there. Cookie for Jason. I'd like to fill you in on what's happened the last 10 years. Time to get flashbacks. I figured. I thought Yumi did have a sister named Mizuki, but I'm gonna be real. I very much believe Taruka was Yumi's daughter. I did not think it was Mizuki's daughter because of the whole, like, you know, Dojima family being an asshole and looked like it could have been a rape.
その子は正真正銘ユミの子なんだ。
ユミお姉ちゃんが私のお母さん。
おやさ、ユミの相手、いや、はるかの父親は
Dojima. Wait, who?
神宮。MIA の。
What the fuck? Oh, thank you for the contribution. Who contributed that? Oh, it was Jason. Thank you for contributing to the ring fit. Thank you.
ユミが抱きかかえているのははるか。横に映っているのが神宮だ。
Radio.
ユミが事件のショックで記憶を失ったことは知ってるな。はい。事件の翌日、ユミは何もわからないまま病院を飛び出した。だがあの子の体は覚えていたんだよ。自分が生まれ育ったひまわりの場所をな。
Thank you so much for contributing to the ring fit. This would actually, I'm gonna have to stream this game. When I get this game, I'm gonna have to stream it. I'm gonna have to do the whole, you know, doing the exercise on stream and all that shit. It's gonna be so weird. I don't know. How am I gonna do the VTuber thing?
ん？
雷。
どうした？
わからない。わからないけど。
俺はその時分かったんだ。
That was when I figured it out.
堂島組長を殺したのが本当は誰だったのかをな。そして錦山には弓の存在を知らせず、彼女の世話をすることにしたんだ。でも弓はなんで神宮なんかと。神宮は世良と深いつながりがあって、よく登場会に出入りしていた。その時偶然弓に出会ったんだ。神宮と会長が？政界を目指す神宮は世良から裏でバックアップを受けていたんだ。神宮は弓に出会い恋をした。そして記憶を失っていた弓は心の隙間に入ってきた神宮を受け入れた。俺は止めることができなかった。もし神宮と幸せな生活が送れるなら 極道社会とは縁が切れるかもしれない。運命を変えられる転機なのかもしれない。そう考えると、
I honestly thought she would have been the daughter
神
of
宮
like
との生活
Dojima.
の中にあるような気がしたんだ。そしてユミは
But
神
yeah,
宮の子を
okay.
生んだ。
Like it's a bit of a random thing of like, oh, Jingyu, and because I'm gonna be real, I do not remember seeing
総
Jingyu.
理の娘との縁談が舞い込み、その時籍を入れてなかったユミは自ら身を引いた。神宮のためを思ってな。だがそれが歯車を大きく狂わせていったんだ。所詮神宮が手に入れた権力は他人から与えられたものだ。だが奴はそれを守るために少しずつ変わっていった。自分の
Oh,
中
another
で
contribution.
正当
What
化し
the?
ながら。その後ユミとハルカは俺がまた面倒を見ていた。そしてある日
What was
セラに
that?
神宮から緊急の電話が入ったんだ。
Anonymous contributed 20. Hey, thank you, Anonymous.
手貸してくれ。まずいことになった。
なんだ、
いいから来てくれ。
人を何人かやる場所は。
いや、お前一人で来てほしいんだ。
なんなんだ。
死体を一つ始末してほしい。
Oh.
神宮は弾みで起こった事故だと言い張ったそうだ。死体はフリーの記者で神宮のスキャンダル。
Oh, that was the
ゆすろうとしてきたらしい。
That might have been our journalist. No, that would have been someone
メモや写
else's.
真を奪い、すべて灰にした。だが神宮にとってまだこの事件は終わってなかったんだ。
これでもう問題ないんだな。
Oh, he's gonna kill
も
him.
う一つ片付けなきゃならないものがある。もう二度とこんなことがないようにするためにあと二人始末してほしいんだ。
お前。
He's talking. Oh, he's talking about Yumi and.
セラ、これは俺たちの理想のためなんだ。頼む。
神宮。
何やってるか分かってんですか、三代目。
風間さん、これは神宮との約束なんです。
女子供を犠牲にしてまで守らなきゃいけない約束ですか。そんなもんがあるわけねえだろ。幸か不幸か、ユミはその時全ての記憶を取り戻したんだよ。
ユミとハルカを。
ジ
ング、なんて野郎だ。
I'm gonna be real.
セラを説得し、
This
ユミとハルカを神宮の目から欺く工作をした。
そのための水木やアレス。
俺とセラはハルカをひまわりに入れ、ユミを水木へと変身させた。人弁し、偽造屋を雇いユミの顔を変え、架空の戸籍や記録を作り上げてな。
This just confused the plot for me a little bit more.
登場会の100億を盗んだ。
Okay, yeah, cool. We're looping back to the 10 billion.
の100億だったんだ。
風間さん、島の組の連中がここはやばいです。
島の目、無茶しやがる。
Okay, so. Alright, so. Okay, so the twist that I was expecting, Haruka being Yumi's daughter, I saw that coming. I wasn't aware of the guy named Jingu. You're gonna pass out. Night night, everyone. Not to worry, Hendrix. Thank you so much for coming along to the stream. I greatly appreciate it. You have a good sleep, your rest, drink your water, have your meds, whatever it is that you need to do before you go to bed, and I hope you have a wonderful sleep. But yeah, so I already knew, so I was fairly, you know, I felt fairly confident about the Haruku twist there. What I was not aware about was that the father was a guy named Jingu, and then, like, the little thingamajiggy that went off and with the reporter and everything like that. But I'm glad that there's now, like, looping back into the whole... The 10 billion yen is because of, you know, apparently it coming from Jingu, not from the family. But the problem is that the reason why we're looped into it is because Kazuma and Sarah, the chairman, they were probably holding on to the money for whatever reason. So, yeah. Alright, you things go away. We'll do that quite a bit. There we go. Alright, let's go. Can you hold off the men coming on deck? I'll get Kazuma and Haruka to safety. Yep, looks like we're having another fight on our hands. Oh, I was really hoping he would be down by that. Okay, I'm going to need to take a drink. Oh my god. There we go. He's dead. Moving on.
I was the anonymous gifter.
Oh, Okay, thank you, Jason. That was a bit delayed, but yeah, thank you, Code. Thank you, Jason, for the contributions to the Ring Fit Adventure. Hopefully that should, you know, get it like fully contributed. If not, because if I get it, I am most certainly going to have to stream it at least once. I would then have to figure out how in the world am I gonna do the VTuber and such when I have to like stand up and all this kind of nonsense and do the things. So who knows?
大丈夫、おじさん。
ああ、少しヒヤッとしたがな。
Uh-oh. Oh. Well, the fact of the matter is I've beaten you once before, and I'll do it again.
それと風間こそこそしやがって
島野
寺田はあんた錦山裏切ってわしにつくふり見せてたけどなそんな裏の裏まで全部お見通しやずっと見晴らしてもろてましたわお前らといい錦山といいほんま脇が甘いわガキはもらっていくでお前らはここでしまいやけどな
島野よ
なんや
おめえさんも相当脇が甘いぜ
ああ
Truck. Oh, I thought they were gonna like I thought they were gonna drive into him. That would have been a lot better if they could just drive into him. I think some of those guys I've beat up before.
随分苦労したみてえだな
柏木さんこそ
なんや風間組はやる気みたいやなよっしゃ血の雨降らしたるわ
Oh, I'm not gonna take my shirt off and like join into the fight? Okay, I see how it is. Here I was thinking we were gonna do like the whole vlah and take our clothes off. Okay, so the blue suited Metin are the ones I want to fight, it seems. Got absolutely just got folded. Alright, so they want me to use Rush on him, it seems. He's a pretty big guy. I don't know if Rush would be the better technique to use on him, but okay. There we go. Ah. There we go. Ow. Thank you for the head pat set. Ow, I'm gonna need it. Yes! First try, let's go. It's over, Shimano. Don't do it. No. You're not doing that. Grenade! Holy shit, he took a grenade for her. Well, he's dead. He got shot in the head.
Kazuma. Haruka wa buji da ze.
Kazama no oji-san.
100億の話を。
寺田さん、救急車。分かってる。
カズマ、金を盗んだのはユミと俺とセラなんだ。
Why though?
僕は神宮の金だ。奴は登場会を使って闇の金を洗ってた。
マネーロンダリング。
そうだ。俺は奴を失脚させるためにその100億を、そしてユミはその計画に志願したんだ。
ユミが
アレスに急げ。カズマ、ユミが危ねえ。
アレス。
She's still at air. Like, we were there, like, not 2 days ago.
これは三代目の遺言状だ。
Okay.
終わったな。
ええ。ありがとうございます。
本当にこれでよかったのか。
神宮と手を切るには、奴が裏で溜め込んだ100億を取り上げて失脚させるしかありませんから。
そうか。でもこのままじゃお前も危なくなるぞ。いっそしばらく身を隠した方がいい。おい。
確かに島根や錦山あたりは後目狙って動き出すでしょう。だが俺は登場界の3代目。逃げも隠れもするつもりはありません。
お前、
もしもの時のために遺言を預けちゃってもらえませんか。
Okay.
登場界の未来がそこにある。
Did you read it?
カズマ、
It doesn't look sealed. Like,
俺はお前に
it looks like something we could, like, read real quickly and be like, oh, that's what he wanted, and then move on.
許してくれ、カズマ。お前の親殺したのは俺なんだ。
Oof.
俺が親殺した子供のための施設。
That is a crazy thought.
俺にとっちゃ親さんが本当の
Did Kiryu, like, when did Kiryu
親父でした。
when did Kiryu go into the Sunflower orphanage? Because, like, if he was, like, just a baby and shit, it's like, yeah, the information doesn't mean too much to him. But if he was, like, 5 or something, like, that would probably be a much closer to home hit for him than, like, otherwise. I wonder if Nishiki knows. I'm curious if Nishiki knows about this. Also, someone's calling me. Date-san? You made it out okay? I heard what happened in Shibuya. The report just came into the station. So, what's your plan now? I'm heading to Ares. Yumi might be there. Really? I see. Well, that's not much time now, so we'll have to talk later. Actually, one more thing. Can you make sure you stop at Stardust first? What? Why? I figured you might need some stuff. I asked Kazuki and Yuya to see what they could do for you. If you need anything at all, you let them know. Alright, cool. So we can get stuff from them. We also have a new text message. Do we have any challenge points we could trade in? 5. We can't trade it into anything. Alright, we gotta head into Stardust and Ares. I hear him. Where the fuck is he? Never mind. I heard the little Kiryu-chan thing. Yep.
Kiryu-san, こっちです。
Hey. I'm sorry I've had to rely on you guys so much. All the way here to the end. Don't ever think it. We thought you might be able to use this. Oh, the host chipped in. 300,000 yen. Nice. I see. Thanks a lot. This is your last chance for free time before the final showdown. It's recommended that you create save data here, just in case, you know? Speak with Kazuki when you are ready to begin, and select not yet if you would prefer to finish up other activities with or without Haruka. Okay. So, I'm gonna save a new slot here. So then that way... Yeah, so we got Chapter 13, the end of the battle, just before. Because we haven't finished everything, obviously. But... Oh. I heard you and your boys ended Shimano. If you think that's an issue, it ain't. Shimano's fights were his own. Even if I avenged him, fact is, he lost you. And me killing you does nothing. So it's business as usual for me. And I got my eye on you. You be ready, Kiryu-chan? Nice. Thank you for being so helpful and being honest with your things. Alright, so that does 160 damage. That does 240. That does 320. I am really curious how that weapon will work. Alrighty, let's see. So that's for the bear, the bear, the bear. That's for the rush. Change your thingy-majiggy on evades. Yeah, sure, might as well grab that one. Parry and attack and move behind them. That one might be good. quick step doesn't go down as long as you stay calm. Sure, let's go for that. Rally, increase the number in your weave. Charged kick. Releasing a thingy madiggy won't, well, as long as you remain calm. A body blow unleashed from the guard position. The fewer you fill, the more powerful the attack will be. Then, when an enemy attacks. Sure, let's give that a try. After certain finishing blows, grab the enemy again and deliver a savage strike. This uses up the heat gauge. Yeah, okay. Launch counterattacks when an enemy comes at you. Sends a shockwave through their bodies if they were struck by lightning. Sure. So I finished all that. I'm close to finishing that one. This one I don't have too many of the things. Essence of Crushing Elbow. Meet an enemy's attack with your elbow, shattering their fist in the process. Only usable in climax. Exploit an opening in the enemy's defenses to deliver a series of tricky feints. Embody the real worth of a prize fighter is boosted when you are wounded. Okay, so some of these would have been better. Boost counter damage in heat mode. Increase the maximum amount of the heat gauge. Durability does not decrease when defending with a weapon while you're calm. When you've had enough, dislocate both of the enemy's shoulders, bash their face, and throw them. Only usable during climax heat mode. That's for the bear, no doubt. If you run during climax, increase the power of heat actions during climax. Yeah, let's go with that one. Increase the thingy. You can only exhaust all your heat to increase the damage dealt to null spells for a set amount of time. Alright. Alright, do you think we're gonna finish this? I think we're gonna finish this. Cell phone, adhesive, a dead man's cell phone, music keys, photo, business card, locker keys. It doesn't tell me which locker keys I have, which is the annoying thing. More powerful when using the brawler style. Yep, we'll use that. Actually, what's this one? When using the beast style. Yeah. I'm probably going to use brawler a lot more than... and if I need to, I can quickly switch to beast. Yep, I'm ready. There's not much else we can do at this point. I know it's kind of lame to say it, but... good luck. It's fine. Thanks for all your help. This probably goes without saying, but the whole town feels on edge today. Be careful. Mm-hmm. Yep.
やっと会えるな。
おじさん、私なんて呼べばいいんだろう。
ユミお姉ちゃんって呼ぶのか？
Were you gonna call her Aunt Yumi?
お母さんでいいんだ、はるか。
It's eerily quiet, which is not a good thing. Not good.
おじさん。
ケリュウ、あんたやら登場界の4代目から直々の褒美が出る。
4代目
Fourth chairman?
チーム女もな、何年ぶち込まれても釣りが来るぜ。今夜は暑いぜ。なんせ殺しのお墨付きだ。次期会長錦山さんのな。
Okay, I see how we're going to have to go through this. Please don't give me a mini game where I'm gonna have to protect her while I'm in the middle of fighting and shit. Yeah, we're gonna beat him up. I don't have my dragon fully upgraded. I know that's unfortunate, but we're taking on the mob. Next mob. Take that, Kojima. Absolutely wreck him. The beast is so good. Nothing can go wrong. Get teed. Alright, let's go. Let's do this. Round 2. And that's another mob defeated. This is easy! We have no problems whatsoever. Oh, hello. January 10th, 1977. An anti-government student activist. Last protest leader arrested. Masaru Sera, age 21. Okay, so that's the third chairman. And then that's Jingu. Hello. Ah! Sorry, I just need to... Ow! Stretch my back again. Here we go. We got places... Oh, wait, hang on. Probably not worth eating in there. We are going to eat... Let's see, is it worth eating here? We're gonna place an order. We're gonna go for the oolong tea. And then we're gonna go for all this stuff. Nom. 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 There we go. We've completed all of the Gendado, and we've dined like 20 times so far out of 30.
今一緒にいるお前がユミの子供なんてな。
おじさんはずっと昔からお母さんと友達なの？
ああ、ユミが今のお前より小さかった頃からな。
そうだったんだ。
Wait, where do they... Oh. I overshot that Millennium Tower. Hang on a second.
そんなユミが母親になって
This way.
時が経つのは早いもんだ。
Alright, let's open up the rest. Alright, we got ourselves a dagger. That's useful. And another dagger. Piss Mountain. Lol. Golden Blackjack. Repair kit. A lopsided cigarette. No idea what that's supposed to mean. Bust. I'm opening up all the boxes at this point. Alright, so that's all the lockers opened. Cookie for Jason! We're close to the end, I swear. Actually, hang on. Item box, just to confirm. So... uses a cause criticism. Lean towards one side during the game. Sell for the mint. Zeros. Allows for the cards on the table to be turned over as much as possible. Increases the chances for the dealer to bust for a certain amount of turns. Increases the chance of winning. Alright, so those are all things. Getting a missed pot in Kilo. Okay, cool. Grab a second repair kit. And then item box. Here we go. When equipped, it feeds your aggressive impulses at the expense of your defense. Gives you adrenaline pumping it and grants resistance to bladed weapons. 332. But yeah, okay, so that's a better binding. Brings out your wild side. When attacked, you won't go down easy. 733, 554. Okay. And then weapons. Alright, we're gonna put that stun gun away. Actually, I have two stun guns. What the fuck? 100, 160, 54, 50. So that's a 90, 240. Get rid of the salt. Get rid of the long lumber. The brass knuckles might still be useful. Let's get multiple stun guns just in case. Alright. We now have plenty of items for our fight coming up. I know we're gonna have a fight, okay? We're at the final chapter and they gave us a warning of, oh, be careful, probably have this as your last save and shit.
隠れてろ はるか。
Here we go. Here we go.
こそこそしねえで出てきやがれ。
The MIA. Did you have to shoot me? How do I get... Okay, this way. I have to head to the big escalators then. Canonically speaking, Kiryu never kills anyone. His gun off? No, he didn't. Okay. But this should take care of him. Did it. Kiryu can survive bullets and all kinds of nonsense. I need to get the guns. Oh, that's a waste of a heat. God damn it. So I had to go like up and down and back around. Ridiculous. Give me a second while I use my gun. When I use my gun non-threateningly. Come on, let me take the gun off him. No? Okay. Did it. I'm good at this. Alrighty, so now all of them are gone. We can now take the elevator. We can now unlock more techniques. Exploit an opening. Press Y near stunned enemies. Effective during climax. Boost the counters in heat mode. Increase the amount in the heat gauge. Let's go with that one. There we go. And let's use this just to give us a little pick-me-up. Away we go!
須藤、お前時間がないです。早く。須藤、お前こんなことして大丈夫なのか。横浜で伊達さんに言われて気になったんです。それで自分で神宮を内定してみたら、神宮が世良と繋がっていることが分かりました。あの100億は神宮の金だったんです。それは分かってる。ですが、私にはもっと別の裏があるように思えるんです。神宮はあの金を取り返して何に使うのか。神宮の本当の目的か。はい。別の組織と繋がっているのかもしれない。東上会と MIA、それ以外の組織の影を感じるんです。
Okay. 10 billion yen is still a lot of money, but like...
私たちも自分の目で確かめに行きましょう。
Jesus Christ, where are you going with a fucking helicopter? And here we are at Ares. Oh hey, there's Yumi. Well, Mizuki, I should say, but really she's Yumi. Look, I realize you're maybe not allowed to get a gun in Japan, but you could have at least tried to get a gun in Japan.
Kazuma. るか。
はるか。
うん、分かってる。
はるか。
お母さん。お母さんなんだよね。
はるか。
Yay! Oh, she's got the like weird black hair artificing nonsense going off. You see it?
私ね。
See it again? There it is. Her hair is not supposed to be venti black right
あなた
now.
と一緒にいたかった。でもね、自分がお母さんだっていうことができなかったの。
いいよ、お母さん、分かってるから。私嬉しいよ。おじさん。
よかったな、はるか。
おかえりなさい、カズマ。
ああ、遅くなって悪かったな、ユミ。
Oh, helicopter's here.
きっと彼が来たのよ。
What, the police?
奪われたものを取り返しに。
Oh no, probably Nishiki or fucking what's in the Whoosies. Jingo!
久しぶりじゃないか、ユミ。それにハルか。
お前が神宮。
こうして会うのは初めてだね、桐生一馬くん。初めましてと言うべきか、さようならと言うべきか。君には苦労させられたよ。
100億を取り返しに来たのね。
ああ、そうだ。当然の話さ。それはもともと私の金だからね。それに他にもいろいろ処分しに来たのさ。
何？
No! Do not kill the fucking kid! Are you shitting me?
ジング、お前。
バカな男だ。まあヤクザなど皆こんなものか。
お前、どうして自分の娘を撃てるんだ。
仕方ないことさ。その子供は私にとって邪魔者でしかない。
Absolutely ridiculous.
私の今後、いやこの国の今後のためには必要のないものなのだよ。
自分が愛した女とできた子、どうしてそんな簡単に。
カズマ、この人にはそんなこと言っても無駄よ。この人の頭の中にはそんな感情はないの。自分が出世することしか考えてない。
何を分かったようなことを言ってるんだ。私に捨てられた女に何が分かるというんだ。知ったような口を叩くんじゃない。
私には分かるわ。どうして世良さんがあなたを裏切ったか。あなたは国のため、政治のためと言って全てを切り捨てて生きている。でもね、それは全部言い訳。結局は自分がのし上がるための理由でしかない。そんな信念はすぐに嘘と分かってしまう。
ふざけるな。お前や世良ごときに私の何が分かるというのだ。
ユミ。
あなたには何を言っても無駄ね。自分が恥ずかしくないの。
ずいぶんな言いようじゃないか。でももうそんなことはどうでもいい。ここでお前らは終わりなんだからな。
そうかな。まだ終わってへんのちゃうか。
寺だ。
Okay.
これで力は五分五分や。風間さんの意志はまだ生きとるんやで。なんやねん。
これだから頭のない極道は困る。やる。
どういうことや。お前ら。
あなたまさか。
そうだよ。私は登場界から近江連合にくら替えしたんだ。バックの組織をな。
なんだと。
私は着々と進めていたんだ。登場界を捨てて 近江連合と協力関係を築く計画をね。
そんな話俺は知らんぞ。
当たり前だ。お前は近江連合の5代目に踊らされていただけなんだからな。もう1年前から話は進んでいたんだよ。5代目と私の間でね。私はセラが私を裏切ることは分かっていた。彼は融通の利かない男だったからね。理想を求めずっと私を支援してきてくれたが、結局は現実の前にくじけたんだ。
現実だと？
ああ、そうだ。君らに政治の話をしてもわからないだろうが、国を動かすには金と力が必要なのだよ。私にとって彼はその力だった。だが彼は変な信念のために私の理想から離れていったのだ。数年前殺してくれたと思っていたユミが生きているということを知った私は、セラ、いや登場会を捨てる腹積もりでいたんだよ。
それでお前は近江連合にすり寄った。
そうだ。
Why
私
is
は
there so
近江
much
連合に話をした。
talking?
近江連合としては私の政治力は魅力だ。政治と裏社会、この2つを牛耳ることができたら、日本を操ることなど造作もないことだからな。
もしかして
I'm awake.
ああ、近江へと渡る。私としては登場会も潰れてくれて、
God damn
まさに
Omnia
一石
Nines
二鳥という
Tojo
わ
nonsense.
けだ。
じゃあ錦も踊らされてたっていうのか。
そうだよ。彼に100億の話を吹き込んだのは私。
Ow, I'm awake, don't you
出世
worry.
欲に取りつかれた若造に餌を見せて動かしただけだ。彼は見事にその役目を果たしてくれた。セラの暗殺から内部抗争までね。そしてさらに嬉しい誤算があった。君だ。君が現れてくれたおかげで登場会は崩壊寸前だ。本当にお礼を言いたい気分だよ。
シング、貴様。
悔しいだろう。だがな、もう遅い。私は近江連合と手を
Forces
組
and
み
rise to the
日本
top
国
of
のトップ
Japan.
に立つ。近江連合は裏社会を統一し、そのすべての力を私が得る。私の理想。
Come on, let's get to the fight, okay? We're gonna fight you, and then we're gonna fight Nishiki for some weird reason. Oh.
あなたは私を撃てない。これが爆発すれば店の中にある100億も一緒に消えてなくなる。私は100億をあなたには渡さない。一緒に爆発してこの世から消すわ。
何をバカなことを言ってるんだ。そんなことをして何のメリットがあると言うんだ。
何にも分かってないのはあなたね。
It's just constantly looping at 27 seconds. I don't know. Okay, I don't know if you. Maybe it'll pop up again, but it's just looping at 27 seconds to go.
そんな気持ちがあった。だけど権力を持つことや出世することにあなたは溺れたの。
何を今さら何を言ってるんだ。
カズマ。
See?
はるかこっちに。
It was looping at 27 seconds. There it is again. It just goes bing 27, bing 27, bing 27.
なあジング、セラ会長はな、あんたが何を考えているかなんてお見通しだったんだよ。
何？
会長はあんたに気づいて欲しかったんだ。昔の強い信念があった時のあんた自身を。だから自分の命を危険にさらしてまで100億を盗んだ。あんたから取り上げようとしたんだ。
バカな。何を根拠にそんなことを。
Because of the third chairman's will. Alright, tell us more. Tell us more about this will. What's in it?
風間さん、頼みます。
セラ、お前これ名前が入ってねえじゃねえか。
風間さん、俺は本来登場会仕切る器じゃありません。
Are you fucking kidding me?
金儲けしかできねえヤクザです。 跡目は風間さんが決めてください。登場会を極道の未来を託せる男。
遺言状だと。
ああ、あんたは遺言状の存在を錦にちらつかせ内部分裂を画策したんだろうが、本当にあったんだよ。会長とおやつさんが命がけで残したんだ。
うるさいセラメー、この後に及んで私を舐めるような真似をしよって。そんなもん今となってはただの紙切れだ。
俺が死ねばなあ。だが
He's also holding another piece of paper.
俺は風間のおやつさんや世良会長が残してくれたもん。
He's holding 2 pieces of paper.
俺は登場界4代目
Hey! Nice. We went from like being excommunicated to now being the chairman. God, we work fast. Come on. Did it. Sorry for the advertisement going off in the middle of the fight. We're nearly there. Oh, come on.
何人でも相手になるぜ。
無理をするな。もう息も絶え絶えではないか。
Oh, you gotta bring the police into this? Well, I know he's the police, but...
伊達さん、
神宮挙兵、今4課が逮捕状を請求した。総収賄、中東法違反、殺人教唆。お前はもう終わりだ。証拠は何もない。当たりだ。
Seriously?
やめろ。ダメだ。伊達さん、ここじゃ町に墜落する。くそ。伊達さん。こうなった以上、全員死んでもらうほかない。覚悟はいいね。
The Kyohei Jingyu. That is a crazy visual. Just a random dude, and then here's a helicopter. I swear to Christ, if I have to throw punches at a helicopter, this game has kind of lost its sense of plot. I love how it's like, oh, I shot the man? Nah, I just punched him out of the way. Here we go. Let's just make this easy. Where the fuck did that rocket come from? Not doing too well, but it's okay. I'll get through this. Could you know, run out of bullets at one point, please? Would be great. Stop shooting me in the back, please. I need you in the chest. You should have, like, changed your shot with that one. I'm just gonna use this thing. Let's go. They're getting back up? Are you serious? Ah, that's worse! And he's just throwing fucking rockets at me. No, let's change equipment. Let's not go for that. Let's go for this one. Stop shooting me! Please don't tell me they're like gaining health as I put hits on me. Okay, these guys are a little bit annoying to deal with right now because of the whole, like, just... Because it's like the mixture of, like, I either have to deal with knives that are wanting to, like, you know, be problematic for me. There we go. There we go. And he had to do it like that, didn't he? we go. Alright, so they want me to be a brawler with him. Nah. Ooh! I didn't realize I was that close. Oh yeah, because I'm wearing the charm, which makes the brawler more powerful. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. I forgot by being a brawler, I do more damage because of the brawler charm I'm wearing right now. Why did I... Idiot. I'm an idiot. Who could it possibly be? Oh my god, it's Nishi.
これでようやく落ち着けるな。錦。なんだそりゃ。爆弾か？ユミ、バカなことはやめろ。
ダメよ。100億はあなたに渡さない。
ユミ、お前そんなに俺のことが憎いのか。まあそうだろうな。当然の話か。
錦、お前まだ諦めていないのか。
当たり前だ。俺はどんな犠牲を払っても登場界の跡目になる。
なあ錦、そりゃ無理だ。お前神宮に踊らされていたんだ。神宮の本当の目的はな。
なことは分かってる。分かってたんだよ俺は。
え？どういうこと？
言ったろ桐生。俺は10年前お前を裏切ったあの日から誰も信用しちゃいねえってな。神宮が俺に話を持ってきた時から信用しちゃいなかったんだ。
じゃあお前は全てを知ってて。
ああそうだ。俺は負けたくなかったんだよ。俺はお前に負けたくなかったんだよ桐生。俺はユミを愛してる。だがユミは一度も俺を振り向いてはくれなかった。ユミの中にはお前しかいなかった。10年前の事件の後、俺の目の前からお前という存在が消えた。その時俺は決意したんだ。運命を変えるためにどんな犠牲も払うってな。
その犠牲が親さんやレーナだったっていうのか。
そうだ。俺は100億を手に入れ登場界を継ぐ。そしてお前から弓を奪い返す。
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
それで初めて俺の運命が変えられるんだ。
錦山君、やっぱり分かってない。
何？
そんなことして何になるの？そうやって変えた運命じゃ幸せになんてなれない。あなたは自分に都合の悪いことから逃げてるだけ。本当に運命を変えたいなら辛いことも全て受け止めて、それでも逃げないで立ち向かうことなんじゃないの？カズマやはるかのように。
うるさい！
Yeah, he doesn't want to be compared to Kazuma anymore.
認めてくれないんだ。
錦、
なんだ。
俺にはお前の苦しさがわかる。俺は一番大切にしていたお前たちを失った。もう戻ろうと思っても10年前に戻ることはできねえ。もうその運命から逃げることはできねえ。だから
Sipping time sponsored by Sir Dragon's 88.
I just took a sip, but I'll take another one just for you, Sir Dragon.
俺たちの戦いに。
Thank you. Oh, we're doing this. All right, hang on. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. Hang on. Where's the button? There's... Wow, there we go. Oh yeah, let's go. Oh my god, we're both gonna get hit in the face. Excuse me while I make this unfair. One moment, please. Oh, he's just... I remember to go with Brawler for the... You fell for the same trick! Come on, get up here on the furniture is. Oh, you got glass on your back. That's not good. This music goes hard, and I don't know what I'm doing. And he's back up in the blue as well because I didn't do the thingy. Oh wait, I have like experience points I could be spending. Hang on a sec. Will any of these help me? That's for the beast. One, 2, 3, 4, then 1. Okay. I'm waiting for the button prompt here. Oh, I don't have the red unlock to do this particular one. God damn it. This is gonna make the fight a little bit harder. Actually, since I'm using Beast, I can swap this. Oh, I don't have the Beast charm. God damn it. Alright, so throwing ability and gaining experience. 11, 11, 11. Grants resistance to bladed. We won't go down easily. Let's give that one a try. Ah, this is... Yes! Fuck you. I'm annoyed that I didn't have, like, the dragon, like, climax Yamui thing, but I guess the only reason I didn't have it is because I didn't progress, like, further in the dragon skills, which requires me doing, like, a whole ton of other shit, so... It is what it is.
Kazuma!
This child's just seen nothing but violence the last few days. It's amazing that, you know, at best we're gonna... Oh.
ごめんね。私、あなたのことずっと忘れられなかったの。記憶を取り戻した後も、こうしてあなたのことを。私、弱い女だった。記憶を失ってからも、本当はあなたのことだけはうっすらと覚えていたの。名前は思い出せない。でもあなたの笑顔や仕草が浮かんでいた。でも誰だかわからない。すべてを思い出せない。そんなあなたのことを待ち続けることができなかった。だから神宮のことを。でもね、はるかは何もかも失った私にとってたった一つの宝物だった。だからはるかとお別れに行った時、思わずこのペンダントをあげてしまったの。私の一番大切なものを持っていてほしかったから。はるか、私のせいで怖い思いさせてごめんね。カズマ、私まだやらなきゃいけないことがあるの。
That's how the fucking, like, billion yen is being kept? Oh.
このお金はあってはならない。だからもう消そうと思うの。
Okay. The American in me is just like, look, we don't need to make it disappear. You could just use it, you know? Oh, Christ, we are gonna destroy all the money, aren't we? We couldn't just have... Oh! Who cheated? Oh, okay, I thought it was Nishiki who did that. Oh. This is not good! Oh god, what the fuck?
やっと見つけた。私の金だ。どうした？何もできまい。お前らはこれで終わりだ。錦。こんなやつに好きにさせてたまるかよ。俺につけさせる。やめろ。やめるんだ。錦。錦。
fuck's sake. Oh. Hello. Grab it. Grab it. I would be grabbing out the fucking money. Ridiculous. Like, let's be real. Like, there probably wouldn't be like 10 billion right now just floating to the ground. It'd be more like maybe at close, like a couple 100 million, but that's still quite a bit. Although it is hilarious that despite, like, with the fucking fireball of an explosion that went off on the sides, we are totally fine.
Yumi. 10年前。いや、それよりずっと前から言えなくてすまなかった。好きだった。お前のことが。
Gosh darn it.
カズマ、これあなたが持っていてくれたの。
Yep.
シンジのやつが死ぬ前に錦から奪い返したんだ。
よかった。また帰ってきた。あなたが
We finished with the topless fighting, so no more topless.
プレゼントだもんね。ありがとうね。私結局すべてから逃げてたのかもしれない。あなたからも錦山くんからも。でもね、私後悔はないの。あなたを忘れないためにまた記憶がなくなってしまっても思い出せるようにってこの入れ墨を入れたの。月下美人、一夜でもいい、一目でもいいからもう一回カズマに会いたかった。
Aww.
その夢が叶ったの。お母さん。はるか、いい？はるかはどんなことがあっても逃げちゃダメ。逃げたら私みたいに幸せ逃がしちゃうから。いい？絶対に逃げちゃダメ。
Okay. And we're all the way down at ground. Oh, wait, no, we're not down at ground floor. We're still in the burning building.
Oi, やめろ。しかし、事情は後で話す。お前ら銃を下げろ。
桐生、お前は悪くねえ。だがこの山で逮捕されたらもうシャバに出れん。俺についてこい。
もういいんだ、伊達さん。ユミも錦も風間のおやっさんももうみんないない。だから人思いに逮捕してくれ。
ふざけるな。お前の戦いはまだ終わってねえはずだ。かけがえのねえものを守り続けろ。逃げるんじゃね
え。かけがえのない。
Oh, hi there! Hi, Eviscerator. Welcome to the stream. We're just about hit the end of Yakuza Kiwami. You missed out on a building explosion. We took on like a political man who, was going to use 10 billion yen to try and take over the country somehow. We blew up the money and somehow survived the explosion. And now we're the chairman of chairman of the Tojo clan.
じゃあお前らしっかりやれよ。行くぜ。頼む。
Nishiki did a really dumb thing. Nishiki has just been bad luck and bad choices throughout the entirety I've met him since Yakuza 0. So like He's been inducted and retired on the what?
5代目は誰にしたんだまあ世良会長やおやつさんに恥ずかしくねえやつにしたよ
Who did he pick?
まあ意外なやつだよ
I swear to Christ, if he picks Majima
元会長つけられてるぞ
え Oh. Oh, that's just the Omni Alliance guy.
おい、もしかしてあいつが5代目なのか？あ
あ、やつならきっちり登場会を立て直すさ。
Time for lunch, banana, pear, and fat-free yogurt. Nice! Good for you! I am almost at the end of this game, which means it will be the end of this stream. Holy shit. Ridiculous that he's like, oh yes, I will be the 4th chairman. And then he fucking runs off. He's like, no, don't want to be the 4th chairman.
もう戻ってこないのか？
さあな。また伊達さんから呼ばれることがあれば来るかもしれないぜ。
そうか。
But yeah, the other thing, like, here's the thing, is like, the bomb should have killed Kiryu and Yumi and Haruka. Like, it should have killed them 3. With the size of the fireball of explosion that went off, it should have killed them, but it didn't. Did I try fishing in the game? Not in this game. I tried it in Yakuza 0, but I didn't try it in Yakuza 1. So, but yeah, how is Yakuza 3? Yakuza 3 was fun on my end. Still don't get why it's hated, but maybe I understand the series combat too well by now. I think if for peeps like me, like if we're going through it from 0 to 7, I think it's very much going to be a case, because from what I've heard, it doesn't use the same combat system as Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2. That's the issue, is that it uses the combat system like that was built off of the original Yakuza 1 and 2. So everyone like has this annoyance of like, oh, why did they remaster it but not give us the new combat system? It's like, because the combat system would be a very difficult fucking task. You like Yakuza 3's combat so far? My personal favorite is Yakuza Like a Dragon's turn-based combat. I very much like that turn-based combat because that's like granted, it was my first introduction to the Yakuza series, so I might have a bit of a strong biases towards, the first combat I've had compared to these two. But yeah, like Yakuza 0 was interesting with the the 3 different like combat things, and then Yakuza Kiwami gives you 4 instead, where one of them was for Dragon. I didn't upgrade Dragon all the way, but it was okay. I reckon if it was a little like if I went through it further, I might have gotten more sort of like enhancements and techniques with Dragon. And I can't skip this. So to be fair, Kiwami 2 uses Yakuza 6s and not 0, so it's more like Yakuza 3. Oh, okay. Alright. Well, I'll need to go through Yakuza Kiwami 2 at some point. So yeah, it will be interesting. But yeah, I'm glad I was able to get through Yakuza Kiwami here. So, is there any like post-credit thing that's like really important at the end of all this, or because I can't skip this? There is no skip option. It just keeps going. Kind of. Do I actually want it? Do I actually want like the post-credit scene after all this? Like, is it actually... There's at least one more dumb thing that needs to happen. Well, it would be nice if I could just skip to the dumb thing, but it doesn't give me the... I'm blocking the view, but it gives me resume, and then it says unskippable. Like, respect to the developers and shit like that, but... give me an option to accelerate, because I'm gonna be real with you, not a lot of people are even reading these half the time. The credits aren't that long, at least. Oh, okay. I've seen some very long credits because of the fact that, like, they'll go through multiple studios or something like that to create the one game. I feel like that's a problem with the whole, like, the AAA/quadruple A industry, is that they go through multiple studios to make the one game now, and it's like, Jesus Christ, you have so many people's, like, hands touching into the systems, the setup, and all this kind of such that, you know, you just have this fucking thesaurus of names and positions to deal with. Yakuza's never had a huge dev team? I wonder why that is. Because they have made some pretty large games. The first game was funded through sponsorship deals originally. Okay, that part there, that one's more of a Japanese thing than it is a, you know, unique to the team. Because, for example, Jackie Chan, when he was making his films and what have... Oh, actually, no, that was with Hong Kong. That wouldn't have been with Japan. No, was it with Japan? No, it might have been with Hong Kong at the time. Okay, no, never mind. Because with Jackie Chan, when he was going through films and what have you, he put a lot of fucking time into the stunts and what have you. And one of the downsides with it is that because it takes a lot of time, it can cost a lot of money because you're hiring people and all that kind of shit. But for Jackie, like, it wasn't too big of an issue because there was a lot of sponsorships that normally go along with the films that he's been in / made, such as Mitsubishi and Nissan and other kinds of big name brands to go along with the film. So I was thinking, like, that's probably like a similar thing that happens over in China and Japan. I'm now past the Kiwami credits. I'm now onto the OG. Confectionery Limited, Ride On Express Limited, Ringer Hut Limited, the producers, the line producer. Like, I just wish it wasn't this big of a gap. There's no reason the gap needs to be this big. There's no reason for it to be this big. Don Quixote. Remember, where did you see Don Quixote? Microsoft Platform Version Development Team. I do not see it. Dusuke Fukawaga. Asama Tako. Hiroki Okada. Masanori Fujimoto. Ai Sawayanaga. Koji Yoshimura. Sarana Okutitsu. Yuji Miyata. Tomoko Kai Kasage. John. Hello. There's so many, and then John pops up randomly. Osama, Ryua, Yuki, Satoshi, Kenzo, Ryu, Ana, Takai, Yuki, Tomoko, Yuji, Shunya. And now we're on to the Sega of America. Count the number of Yakuza games that broke 500,000 copies? Oh, it's not being that big of a series? What the fuck? Is there... Let me Oh. Oops, missed the ending. Nah, you didn't, because there's all these credits running right now, Izzy. And apparently, like a Marvel film, there's a post-credit scene, and it's maybe important, so I can't skip it, because I can't skip the credits. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna sit here and wait for the fucking credits to finish. So, like, give me a skip, okay? Do not make the credits, like, huge. Like, this section, you could easily break into 2 names, rather than just this one long fucking list. 5, 0, and 7. Why was 6 not, like, one of the ones that cracked 500,000? If Yakuza 5 was so popular, why didn't 6 hit any popularity? Daisuke Sato, thank you. Also, stop micro-stuttering, please. Just get through the end. It doesn't give me an option to skip. Pretty much exclusively in Japan. Ah, okay. Here we go. Alright, so it's continuing on from before the credits. It was a love letter to the country after the big earthquake. Ah, okay. The dog could look a bit better. Doggy! What are we gonna do with Haruku? Because, like, oh wait, she's at the Sunflower Orphanage technically. Okay, well, she's back at the Sunflower Orphanage. We better get home then, so we can be ready for Santa to come this year. Nice. Nope, where'd you go? Oh, there she is. First question. Where's our home? Second question. Aren't you with an orphanage? And you don't? What was with that line of questioning? Is like, is when she's like, oh, when did you stop believing in Santa? It's like, you don't? Shout out to leaving the dog behind. Well, obviously the whole leaving the dog behind thing, because she's like, oh, he'll find his mom one day, is in line with, like, the fact that, you know, she went looking around the city for her mom. 92 street battles, rank B with Majima everywhere, and we've only completed 30% of this game. Nice. I'm gonna be real, I thought I would have that completion a lot higher for the fact that I finished the fucking game. Ow! Fuck's sake! Flashbanged. Ryuga go Otoko. Real Yakuza use a controller. Yeah, I highly doubt I would have had a very fun time using my keyboard and mouse on this. We can swap to New Game Plus, explore the game without following the main story. Alrighty then. Move over to here, and for whatever reason, do not play my music. Come on, keep playing the music. There we go. But yeah, welcome back, Het. And hi there, Izzy. Welcome to the stream. Hopefully you're doing okay. Are any of my moderators, like, can we get a quick shout out for Izzy, please? No? Okay, hang on. Bam. Let's go. We're not going 100%. I don't care. I don't care. We are not 100%ing games here, okay? That is some fucking completionist nonsense. There are too many games out there for me to play. Completionist of like 100%ing games is like going through all the special features of a DVD movie you just watched. Not a lot of people do it, and you should never be dissuaded from the movie itself just because they didn't go through the special features. My brain is hurting after going over time. Oh no. How far did you go? Jesus. Hang on, I need to close a few things. Oh my gosh, I have so many tabs open. I have work tomorrow, hence why I can't just stay up all the gosh darn time. Looks like a lot of people went over to Cosmic Wolf. What in the world? So many people. Who else is online? We got Zep, we got Kusaki. And you know what? Let's go into Kusaki. What's Kusaki doing? Why is... Okay, hang on. We're gonna go raid into Kusaki. We're gonna do it quickly. Because right now, Kusaki is in a fucking bathtub or something. Give me a second, give me a second. We're gonna raid real quickly and go, good gravy. Good gravy. He's naked. That is gonna be our raid message if you join in with me really quickly. We need to go in very quick moment, alright? Alright, so you're ready with me? Thank you everyone who came along to tonight's stream. I greatly appreciate it. You'll find me again streaming on Wednesday and safe night, where we're probably going to go through my backlog of either Helldivers 2 or Yakuza Kiwami 2. Friday night, I'm going to be playing with Kota Yoshi, and then Saturday night is MMO night. I hope you all had a wonderful afternoon, morning, evening, and night, and I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.